Hello. My name is Callista, and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. In the last episode, we completed things as much as we can in the hinterlands. We have completed Valimar. Really, the only thing we have left to do there is get that one shard that's behind a locked door. It's a little bit frustrating. It's a little bit frustrating that I couldn't complete the map. And in today's session, I'm planning on heading over to the Storm Coast. I always want to call it the Wounded Coast. Always, we will be heading over to the Storm Coast to take care of the final rift. Now, before I get into the episode proper, I guess I'm starting today's session with a bit of an announcement. I'm very sorry to have to do this, however, I'm going to have to set a bit of a boundary with the comments section. I've never really felt the need to do this, as I've always felt that, common sense will win the day. However, someone has been regularly overstepping this boundary, and I feel like I've got to bring attention to it. I asked for very little in my comments section. Really, my only rule is that you be respectful and polite. If you feel like I've said something offensive, you have every right to confront me on that. All I ask is that you be respectful. Case in point, in the episode where I killed Anders in Dragon Age 2, I said that hovering my mouse over the kill button felt like I was signing off on putting an animal down at the vents. I meant that it felt like I was signing off on death. However, Abby pointed out that it came across like I was comparing Anders to an animal. And considering that he's a representation of mental illness, what I said was very invalidating. Abby was extremely polite, courteous, and respectful, and I really appreciated that. The same rules apply if you disagree with an opinion of mine. I'm always happy to discuss and debate in the comments. However, if your intention is simply to prove me wrong, then that will not be tolerated. If your only argument is to invalidate me, my opinions, or my argument entirely, then I do take offense to that. I'm always willing to admit that I'm wrong, but I want proof of that first. And, well, semantically you're wrong isn't proof. It's incredibly rude behavior, and it will not be tolerated anymore. I'm very sorry that I had to do this. 95% of people who leave me comments are perfectly polite and lovely, but I felt like I had to bring this up. To the person I'm addressing, you know who you are. Consider yourself warned. Okay, there we go. Like I said, I'm sorry that I had to do that, but it kept happening, and I felt like I had to bring it up. Now then, first things first. War Council. I actually want to check in with the cells underneath Haven, because I was looking this up. Apparently you don't need the perk to unlock them. You can go and ask Sera about it. It just has to come up on the screen. You will need some help with this. Give me my money.
Master Dennett's horses are a fine addition to our stables. I will see they are well tended.
Good stuff. Excellent. I also looked up the war table missions. Aha, okay, let's see. Let's see, can I get everyone doing something? Okay. Okay, and then... Okay, that's good. That's excellent. Answer a request from Hasmal. Commander Cullen, I understand the Inquisition is working with Redcliffe's mages. I'm surprised someone from Kirkwall would condone any arrangement with them, but it does put you in a position to aid us. Hasmal's circle sustained significant damage during the uprisings. Rather than follow the Lord Seeker, many of our Templars elected to remain and deal with the aftermath, but our resources are limited. Furthermore, we have loyalist mages with us. Hasmal's people would happily throw them to the wolves, even though they had nothing to do with the rebellion. As it stands, I fear we may fail in our duty to protect them. I trust you sympathize with our predicament. I humbly request our charges be transferred to the Inquisition. Knight Commander Bryson. Now, Josephine says, we can arrange safe passage from Hasmal and let the city's leaders believe they owe us a favour. Liliana says, Hostility towards mages remains, but there are ways to travel without drawing notice. And Cullen says we have a few Templars of our own. Hasmal's Templars will be comfortable working with them. They can ensure safe passage for the mages. This guy did request Cullen, and if he's requesting Cullen, it doesn't do us any harm to, what's the word I'm looking for? Not deny. Accept the request. There we go. I do speak English, I swear I do. Yeah, this was cool.
To work?
Next up, an ally from Starkhaven. The Inquisition has received a missive from Starkhaven. Most cordial greetings. My name is Sebastian Vale. Oh, buddy. Is it good to see you again? You were way underutilized in Dragon Age 2. My name is Sebastian Vale, sole heir of the Vale Princes of Starkhaven. I recently retook the throne of this great city from those who sought to gain it through unjust means. As a most devoted adherent of the Chantry, I felt the loss of Most Holy Justinian V keenly. I too hoped for a resolution to the terrible conflict that claimed the lives of hundreds in Kirkwall and now threatens to claim all of Thedas. I extend Starkhaven's hand in friendship to the Inquisition. Together, let us right the wrongs visited upon our world. Prince Sebastian Vale. And the only one participating in this is Josephine. I will send emissaries. Though the Free Marches cities have always been independent, earning the support of the most prosperous ones may be to our advantage.
At your service.
I do find it interesting that Sebastian, bearing in mind that Amelia encouraged Sebastian to... she encouraged him to devote himself to the Chantry, to give up his throne. After all of that, he still went and became a prince. And I do get why. It makes the most sense from a storytelling perspective. He saw the explosion of the Chantry in Kirkwall and everyone's dying and Althena's dead. It makes sense that he'd return to Starkhaven and return and regain his throne. Still, it is... I don't know, to me at least it feels a little bit iffy, because the whole thing with Sebastian was, will you encourage him to retake the throne, or will you discourage him from doing that? So it just seems a little bit odd to me. And then investigate Therinfall Redoubt. The Templars at Therinfall Redoubt went quiet while the Inquisition dealt with the mages. I'd be happy to take the charges out to investigate the area. Lieutenant Cremisius Aclasi. Josephine was never participating. Cullen said I can send the charges in with Inquisition troops to bolster their numbers. And Liliana says, this calls for a light touch. My scouts can make a distraction, letting the charges sneak in close. Yeah, if they've gone quiet, clearly something weird is going on in here. You don't want to... just stomp up with a load of soldiers. Better to sneak in.
Let's see what we have.
Indeed. Now then, let's see. Because I would like to get into these cells. I wasn't sure if you needed the perk or not. And it could be a little bit glitched. That is always possible. That the game is just glitching out a bit. Requires a rogue. I think I'm gonna go ding all of them. Just in case I have to ding a specific door. And I'm gonna do it a couple of times. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, I've definitely... Okay, let's see. Now that I've done that, and the game has acknowledged, okay, you're trying to open these doors. Let's see if Sera will be willing to open them. Or Varric. We can always ask Varric. like I said, if I'm gonna be rather upset if I can't get the, if it does rely on the locksmith perk and I can't get that before we do In Your Heart Shall Burn.
A gracious lady bit.
Indeed. Yes! Pick the locks!
I was wondering if you could look at some locks for me.
What, the doors under the Chantry?
You know about them.
Places have doors. I just wasn't interested in poking through some sister's breeches. Whatever floats you. Consider them open, yeah?
Yes! Give me the shit! It's mine now! We claimed this building from the Chantry. It belongs to me.
For I walk only...
That is me speaking, not Aenor. Aenor would never say anything like that. Clearly I'm the one with the looting problem. Although I just have this image of, everyone's walking and then suddenly Aenor veers off. Like, Lavellen, where are you going? I don't know why, my legs are just moving me over towards this elf route. I feel a compulsion. The Disciples of Andraste. The Disciples of Andraste are unique in all of history. The cult preceded the Chantry and kept itself so hidden and isolated that it actually survived to modern day. The Disciples made their home high in the Frostback Mountains in a village called Haven, which is now a sanctuary for pilgrims of the Chantry. It is understood that the Disciples were descendants of the first followers of Andraste, who brought her ashes to Ferelden and built the temple to house it. Because they had pledged themselves to the keeping of the temple of sacred ashes, the Disciples of Andraste never left the Frostbacks. For 900 years, they kept strangers away, killing all who came close, and were completely oblivious to the world that advanced beyond the boundaries of their home. Having developed separately from the traditions of the Andrastian Chantry, the Disciples were led by revered fathers. However, little else is known about the original beliefs of the Disciples, for they had turned from their noble heritage by the time they were discovered. Almost all scholars believe that the centuries-long isolation imposed upon the village led to the necessity for inbreeding. This practice likely led to a greater incidence of madness, which may explain why the cult was, at the time of its discovering in 930, worshipping a high dragon. According to writings discovered in Haven, the Disciples of Andraste showed reverence to the dragon, believing it to be the prophet reborn. The egg clutches and dragonlings of the dragon were afforded great honour for being Andraste's offspring and were cared for by the cult. The dragon never attacked the cult, being cunning enough to recognise how this arrangement benefited it. In 930 Dragon, the Disciples were wiped out by the hero of Ferelden, who was on a quest to retrieve the sacred ashes of Andraste. From Before Andrastianism, The Forgotten Faiths by Sister Rondwyn of Tantervale. Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the lady who was very snide about the, was it the Daughters of Song? The Sisters of Song? The orgy cult. The orgy cult, you know the one I mean. She would afford more grace and kindness to dragon worshippers than she would to some people who just wanted to get it on. God damn, Rondwyn, that's harsh. The Black City. No traveller to the Fade can fail to spot the Black City. It is one of the few constants of that ever-changing place. No matter where one might be, the city is visible. Always far off, for it seems that the only rule of geography in the Fade is that all points are equidistant from the Black City. The chant teaches that the Black City was once the seat of the Maker, from whence he ruled the Fade, left empty when men turned away from him. Dreamers do not go there, nor do spirits. Even the most powerful demons seem to avoid the place. It was golden and beautiful once, so the story goes, until a group of powerful Magister Lords from the Tevinter Imperium devised a means of breaking in. When they did so, their presence defiled the city, turning it black, which was, perhaps, the least of their worries. From Beyond the Veil, Spirits and Demons, by Enchanter Mirdramel. Don't mind if I do. Yoink it. Who's keeping a single piece of elf fruit in this ornate chest? Someone with an elf fruit addiction, clearly. Andraste, bride of the Maker. There was once a tiny fishing village on the waking sea that was set upon by the Tevinter Imperium, which enslaved the villagers to be sold in the markets of Minrathous, leaving behind only the old and the infirm. One of the captives was the child Andraste. She was raised in slavery in a foreign land. She escaped, then made the long and treacherous journey back to her homeland alone. She rose from nothing to be the wife of an Alamari warlord. Each day she sang to the gods, asking them to help her people who remained slaves in Tevinter. The false gods of the mountains and the winds did not answer her, but the true god did. The Maker spoke. He showed her all the works of his hands, the Fade, the world, and all the creatures therein. He showed her how men had forgotten him, lavishing devotion upon mute idols and demons, and how he had left them to their fate. But her voice had reached him, and so captivated him that he offered her a place at his side, that she might rule all of creation. But Andraste would not forsake her people. She begged the Maker to return, to save his children from the cruelty of the Imperium. Reluctantly, the Maker agreed to give man another chance. Andraste went back to her husband, Mafarath, and told him all that the Maker had revealed to her. Together, they rallied the Alamari and marched forth against the mage lords of the Imperium, and the Maker was with them. The Maker's sword was creation itself, fire and flood, famine and earthquake. Everywhere they went, Andraste sang to the people of the Maker, and they heard her. The ranks of Andraste's followers grew until they were a vast tide, washing over the Imperium. And when Mafarath saw that the people loved Andraste and not him, a worm grew within his heart, gnawing upon it. At last, the armies of Andraste and Mafarath stood before the very gates of Minrathous, but Andraste was not with them, for Mafarath had schemed in secret to hand Andraste over to the Tevinter. For this, the Archon would give Mafarath all the lands to the south of the Waking Sea. And so, before all the armies of the Alamari and of Tevinter, Andraste was tied to a stake and burned while her earthly husband turned his armies aside and did nothing, for his heart had been devoured. But as he watched the pyre, the Archon softened. He took pity on Andraste and drew his sword and granted her the mercy of a quick death. The Maker wept for his beloved, cursed Mafarath, cursed mankind for their betrayal, and turned once again from creation, taking only Andraste with him. And Our Lady sits still at his side, where she still urges him to take pity on his children. From the Sermons of Justinia II. The sermons are always so grand. I do like that. I've said that before, I know I have. I really like the gravitas that the religious codex entries have. Now, loot. Thank you kindly. Who is keeping herbs in the dungeons? Who is doing this? Nothing in here, it seems. And, oh, hello. Misplaced notes. Notes written by one of the scholars responsible for restoring Haven. The notes have obviously come loose from a ledger of some sort. It took weeks scrubbing bloodstains from the stone. One of two things is true. Either stone is more porous than I thought, or Maker's beard, there must have been a lot of blood. How many people died? I'm so relieved I didn't have to deal with the altars of sacrifice the first arrivals found. Those were tossed off a cliff, I think. So now we just have to deal with the stains on the walls and floors. If this doesn't clean up in a day or two, I'm asking for some fresh plaster. Maybe we can cover them up. Still, it's not all bad. Haven is a beautiful place, and while working in the dungeons, we found scraps of paper with writing that looks like Let's try that again. Still, it's not all bad. Haven is a beautiful place, and while working in the dungeons, we found scraps of paper with writing that looks like Brother Ferdinand Genitivi's. He was held here for weeks before the hero Ferelden found him. Yeah, this is... I guess that's just letting you know, in case you hadn't put 2 and 2 together, you know, this is the church where obviously we fought. I believe he was called Brother Eirik or Alric. It's something like that. You know, the hero Ferelden comes in, he's there giving his sermon, then, I see we have guests. How do you like Haven? And the hero Ferelden's just like, bitch, I know you've been up to some shady shit. I've seen all the blood. There's a fight. And then Genitivi was off in a hidden room. Yeah, this is the same location. Nothing in here. Okay, good stuff. Oh, Sera, thank you. Thank you for unlocking these doors. If I'd have missed out on those codex entries, I would have been very upset. Okie doke. I believe that was all I wanted to do in Haven. Yeah, I picked up the shipments last time around, so yeah, I believe that was everything. Okay. Now, Cullen, I believe, actually reported in. So we'll probably just send him off to make some money, I think. Unless there is anything else we could have him doing. Answer a request from Hazmal. Commander Cullen, your men arrived this morning. It's good to see the Inquisition still trusts Templars to perform their duties. Once we ensure that Hazmal's circle is stable, and that no dangerous items fall into the hands of unsuspecting scavengers, we will join you ourselves. Knight Commander Bryson. Oh, thank you, Knight Commander. Thank you very much. Let's see. No, where are my notes? We can have him doing something. Excellent. Locate the weapon of Tridda Brightaxe. Inquisitor. As a long-time scholar of the ancient Avar, I find the information you uncovered about Tridda Brightaxe fascinating. Many believe the Avar unsophisticated barbarians with no culture worth studying. But do not all legions say the same of us? The rich oral tradition of the Avar has been largely lost, leaving only these rune-marked fragments. Nevertheless, these confirm what we have heard in stories, that Tridda pulled her tribe away from a would-be warlord and chose a hard life in the mountains for uncertain reasons. It is fortunate that she did, for had the Avar remained, the ancient Alamari might have pushed north and attracted the attention of the Neromenian tribes that would one day form the Tevinter Imperium. Had that happened, it is unlikely the Alamari would have survived to become Ferelden as we know it. Based on marker runes left at each of these locations, I may be able to find the site where Tridda's legendary axe is located. A crystal-headed axe, said to burn with flame, would be a fascinating find indeed, if the Inquisition will finance my expedition. Yours, Sister Dorcas Guerin. Now, Josephine says, Sister Dorcas has distant ties to Ferelden nobility. There are nobles who would happily gain favour with Arl Eamon by helping her. Liliana says, the Avar tribes are not friendly. My scouts can get Sister Dorcas in and out of the mountains safely. And Cullen says, if it's worth our time, I can provide this scholar with soldiers to protect her. We'll go with Cullen. It's going to take him 14 hours, but we'll go with Cullen. Okie doke. There we go. I'm back to my timer. Now then. The Storm Coast. Venture forth. I know I want to take Solus. You know what? Let's go Iron Bull. Varric, and Solus. There we go. That seems good.
You know, I met the Arishok.
Oh, the old one? Man, he had an impressive rack. The new Arishok doesn't have horns at all. Usually means they're destined for something special.
I met him too. The only thing they seem to have in common is a tendency to burn things.
That pretty much sums up the Antam, yes.
Yeah, it does. I love that the old one, he had an impressive rack, and he did. That man had impressive Tartars. Also, there's the hint that Sten went back to Parvolan and became the Arishok. Yes, you. So let's head back to here. There is also a campsite I want to track down. It's somewhere around here, I believe. There's a bottle of alcohol waiting for us. Is that... That bird seems to be levitating. Are you okay? I'm gonna take that as an omen. I think that fighting this rift is going to go well. That's what I take from that. Hell, I'm gonna assume that's the Blades of Hessarian. Doing their job, making sure that the coast is nice and safe and stable. Always a good sign. Now then, okay, that's just a Tusket. That's fine. No, dickhead. No, dickhead. No, not the Tusket. How dare you? Can you back mine off? And do me a scream. That'd be great. Thank you. Excuse me. Spinny spin. Oh shit. Come on, take it out. Take it out. Back it. Another sip. And do me a scream. There we go. Just keep hitting it. Keep hitting it. Keep sipping. We're gonna have to go back to camp, aren't we? God damn. I was literally just there. I hate bears. I hate you, bear. How did the Tusket get away? Tell me it got away. Given the fact that I can't see a body, I'm going to assume it got to safety. Odd. I salute you, Tusket. I salute you. Be free. When I started playing Inquisition, I did not think that my arch nemesis would become bears. I did not foresee that. Gonna be honest. I'm looking at my timer. I only have a minute left, so you know what? I'm gonna try and find this camp. And then I'm gonna head back to the actual camp. Restock my potions, get some more healing mist. Now then, let's see. Oh, the camp wasn't over there, was it? Tell me I haven't climbed the wrong cliff. I fear I may have climbed the wrong cliff. You know what? Ah, bugger. Buggeration. Okay, let's make our way down. I was close. I was in the right location. You know what? Let me just stop my timer. That way I won't get spooked by it. I actually only remembered this camp because I was, I entered the game to find screenshots the last time I was in the Storm Coast. I use Flycam for anyone who may or may not be interested. Oh, you... I hate bears! Why did you do this? Fix it. Beat it to death. Beat it to death. Come on. Fix it. And smack it. Smack it. And do me a scream. Fix it. And we are out of potions. Just keep... Ah, bugger. It's almost dead. Oh, you coming round to me? There we go. Oh, and it didn't drop anything. What a hoe. The indignity, it killed me and it didn't have the... Yeah, I went up the wrong cliff.
Let's take a look.
Jump. Jumpy jump. Oh, hello, ram friend. You won't attack me. 'Cause you're lovely. Grey whiskey, right wine, conscription ale. A bottle marked vintage Warden Andraste, bottled whimsy. Very nice. In the mists, a torn sky. We set sail from Kirkwall under fair winds and clear skies. The captain said we would be in Rialto within a week if the weather held. I spent the day aboard deck, chatting with the crew and retired to my cabin at dusk. To my dismay, the motion of the waves made it impossible for me to settle down. Even reading was difficult, though the book of myths and legends I brought was quite riveting indeed. I emerged again several hours later after it was dark, hoping the chill night air would grant me some relief. As I leaned over the rail, I heard a cry of alarm from the crow's nest. I raised my head and saw, in the sky to the far-off southwest, an eerie green glow, which grew brighter as we watched. In the space of a breath, it had become too dazzling to look at, and I had to shield my eyes. When I looked up again, the light was still there amidst swirling clouds. It looked to me then as though the sky had been rent in two and the heavens were pouring out. I heard footsteps and was joined at the rail by just the rest of the crew. We were silent, all of us afraid to give voice to the fears that now consumed our hearts. Finally, after several minutes, we heard a lone voice from the crow's nest. It's the end of the world. From the account of Vialazar of Treviso, rumoured to be a retired Antivan crow. I'm assuming this is someone's recounting of, oh, I was on a ship and then the breach happened and I got a pretty good view of it. Unless this could be talking about something else, for all I know. It could be. I doubt it, but in which case there could be a retired crow just dicking about the Storm Coast. I think let's back to camp. Back to camp. The bears kicked my ass. Okie doke. And with that, I am gonna leave off right here. In the next episode, hopefully we can make it to that rift without being molested by bears. But until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. I've been Callista. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.